Hi there and welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Nicole Owens. I'm the Director of Marketing Communications for MassMedic. Um, if you're not familiar with our organization, we are a membership-based trade association that works to bolster the medical device industry in New England through connection and education, events like this, advocacy, and awareness. Today, we have a great event from our friends at Dassault Systems. We're going to be talking about accelerating medical device design through a multi-physics and multidisciplinary approach. Before we dive into the content today, I do have a couple housekeeping notes I just want to share with you. This webinar is being recorded, so anyone who registered for the webinar will receive a recording of the webinar and the slides after. And also, we are going to have time for Q&A. So we encourage you to put your questions in the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen, and we will do our best to answer them as time allows. All right. Without further ado, I am pleased to introduce our speaker for today, Dr. Behnam Afsharpoya from Dassault Systems. Behnam. Behnam,
Okay,
there you go.
okay, I was on mute. Okay, so today, hello everyone, thank you very much. And I'm going to talk about the multi-physics and multidisciplinary approach for design of medical devices. So agenda today will be about uh, first, I will talk about a little bit about introduction. I will talk about MBSE or model-based systems engineering and this methodology. Then I will present some examples or demos to explain this concept in more details. And at the end, we have Q&A or discussions. So first thing, I will start with the challenges that we have or we see in industry. I mean, we see that products are getting more and more complex thanks to the technology that we have developed. At the same time, the risk of failure would get larger or would be more. And also, the demand from the market is higher. So market wants us to provide more innovative and better quality products. And also the competition is getting more and more, and we need to get to the market faster. When it gets to the smaller scale, like company challenges, we see that inside the company, we have different disciplines or colleagues that they need to communicate with each other. They need to work with each other. Products are more complex, so they need multidiscipline approach, and they need to get to the market faster, so they should be efficient. And also, there are many stakeholders that they have impact on the design, and they need to work with each other, and they should also provide a good quality product. So all of them, they should contribute to this matter. But from the other side, you see that a large number of the development time is happening when there is no prototype. So every person in the team, they may not know exactly what the final product looks like. And also, they may not know how to evaluate the part of the discipline or the work they are doing uh, in a larger scale or global product. If they are developing a software or like a circuit board or a panel, they don't know how the product is going to look like and at the end of the day. So they just contribute to the small cell or discipline that they are working in. And that would not be a very good way of working or not be efficient. And if they are not considering some aspects of the design, at the end of the design or when they see the final prototype, it would be a little bit late. So it would be better to have a virtual twin to develop the design. Now, one of the ways that we can have a better way to develop a virtual twin is called systems engineering approach or model-based systems engineering. The very high level or very simple way to explain this approach is that first, we spend a lot of time to understand the problem. It's very important to know what are requirements, how different the stakeholders they have different type of requirements. Like we have some requirements from industry or from regulators, as well as customers or different disciplines. And based on those, we create use cases and we develop some solutions. Now, when we want to develop our solution, we need a virtual twin. We need some simulation models. And this methodology helps us to provide some simulation models that they are providing answers to our requirements. So we don't randomly create simulation models because it's good to have them. We develop them because we want to be sure that we are evaluating or validating a part of our design. So when we are doing the evaluation and verification, we are always looking at our requirements and our specifications. So through the whole process, we know from the beginning what type of requirements we have, how we want to model some like simulation models to answer these requirements, and how we are going to verify our design and validate it against our requirements. So when we want to do that, this methodology brings us a way to understand our problems, to define them in different disciplines or different diagrams, how to communicate with different stakeholders or teammates to understand what is the problem, how we can address it. And based on that, we can develop some solutions or the architecture that can hold all the simulation models, and we can run all of these simulation models together. When you look at it from a very large scale, this like methodology, if you look at it from the CSML language, includes requirements, behavior models, structural models, and parametric diagrams. And all of these, they are in an architecture or framework that it can communicate with the requirements. So you can receive requirements, you can process them, you can categorize them or specify what type of requirements you have. You develop your simulation models or diagrams to understand these requirements and define functional and logical architectures. And then you communicate with the analyst or with the simulation engineers or with different disciplines to define these requirements as subsystems. So we communicate from as a system engineer with different disciplines. They can contribute to whole design. Even they are working in their group, but they are aware of what is happening in the whole architecture. So they can contribute efficiently and they can communicate through this architecture. Now, when you look at from the requirements, they're not bunch of lines of sentences or requirements that are sitting in a like an Excel sheet or a document somewhere that only the system engineer or some engineers they can have access to that. The requirements are dynamic. All the people they can have access to these requirements. They can change them. They can the system engineer they can decompose them. They can specify what requirements are actually should be available to what team. And they can trace from requirements to validation and verification through the models or methodologies that they are used to test the design against the requirements. So if for example, a requirement change, they can be sure that that change of requirements is um, validated or registered in the system. People who are supposed to know about that change, they would be aware of that. And also this new design would be validated and verified against that requirement. And at the end, we would have automatically a report or traceability report for all of the requirements that are met or requirements that are not met. And dynamically, every moment, all the people, they can have access to these reports and to be sure that they're contributing to the design. So you don't need to wait for the design review time to be sure that you are aware of all the design aspects. Now, I gave you two examples about the like how we implement this methodology in design of medical instruments. One of them is called wearable injector, devices. It has a large market. The market is growing very fast, and that's the reason I chose this example. Now, if as a like a system engineer or design team, if I want to design it using this methodology, I come with the architecture of actually my product. First, I will identify my requirements. I categorize them and I specify them, and they are available to all the stakeholders or design team. I can trace them and connect these requirements to different functions of the device. So for different functionality of the device, I have a diagram. I understand what is the interfaces or connection between different components of the system, how functionally they are working together. And also based on the requirements, also I can connect it to different logical components of the system. So I can develop a logical architecture that can hold all the virtual twin simulation models. At the same time, this same architecture can hold the physical model. So let's say if I have a pump or I have an injection device or I have a circuit board, all of these logical systems, they have also a physical or mechanical representation in my virtual twin. So all of the team members, they have access to all of these components of the system. Now, if I want to design, for example, the logical architecture of this injection system is working with a battery, it has an electromotor and a pump, and also an injection device, I can model this with a 1D simulation inside my logical architecture, and I can analyze it and verify if this battery or electromotor or injection pump, all of them, they can provide the right amount of fluid to the patient. The flow rate or the pressure is enough, and the battery would provide enough power or voltage to run this system. So I can analyze all of these components together individually, and also I can put them all in one simulation model. This would provide me a virtual twin of the final product. All the aspects of the system or design, they are modeled in one virtual twin, and I can get all the results in one simulation model. Now I can run this virtual twin for several cycles to see how this battery is going to behave over several usage. So we are not going to use this wearable device only once. We may use it over the time. So I can see how the battery or other components of the system, they are going to behave over several time of usage or over, for example, a month of usage. So I can know that if this battery is good enough for this device, or how I can provide a message to the user that, okay, the battery is not, doesn't have the right state of charge, so you have to recharge the battery or replace the battery. All of these in the virtual twin can be modeled without using a prototype. I don't need to build all of these components. I can use a virtual twin of that and analyze it before I come with a prototype. So the other example I have is defibrillator. Now, this device, it has different stakeholders. Uh, if this device is sitting somewhere, maybe the design person is the first person who is the stakeholder should design it, but that person should know that there are different type of operators or patients that they are going to use this device. So the design should be in a way that should work for different type of operators and also for different type of patients. And also the device would be placed in different locations. So if we look at the design aspect from the MBSC, we have a physical model. Based on that, we can develop our logical architecture. Some components like connectors or capacitors or this electronic circuit, they are very important. So I can access from my logical architecture to the electronic circuit. I can look at the signal that is generated for individual patient, and I can be sure that the pulse that I'm generating as a voltage would be the right pulse based on the circuit board that I have designed for this device. So I look at the parameters that are developed for modeling of the resistor or capacitor or different component of this circuit model. And I can analyze all of these components. I can make them specified for my design. So this library of the components can be modified for different type of design. And now I can incorporate that model inside a larger scale model, which is the uh, defibrillator or the pulse generator. Now I can see what voltage or how much volt or what type of pulse this defibrillator would generate. But this is only for one case. I can only look at one patient or one type of, for example, syndrome, and I can analyze, okay, if this system good enough for that application. Now, when I look at it from model-based systems engineering approach, I have more parameters, more requirements. And also, I may have more complexity. Let's say this device should have a GPS, should have a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi connection, so it can provide the position of the patient to the emergency room or emergency staff, and also provide the pulse to the user. The other hand, the requirement parameters can be shared with the components that they are used in this system. So they're using an architecture like this, it would make it possible for you to share all the parameters of the design, not only for that aspect of design that you are looking at this point, you can also look at, okay, if this battery not only providing enough power to the pulse generation, also enough power to the GPS device, to the Bluetooth or Wi-Fi devices as well, and also monitor. So all of these like components, we need to be sure that they would receive enough power. So if we, for example, take a large amount of power from the battery only to charge the uh, capacitor, the other functions of the device, they won't stop. So we can evaluate if this battery or this power supply would provide enough power to all components of the system at the same time. Now, when we look at this from the MBSC, this simulation model would be embedded in our system architecture. When we are using MBSC, now we are looking at the holistic view of the design, and this device is not only used for one syndrome or one type of patient. Now we look at logical model and we see, okay, we may have different type of patients, different type of pulses that should be generated. And now we evaluate our battery for all of these type of like functions that we expect from this device. And maybe the pulse that is generated may change over the time. Now we need to see if this battery is capable of providing all of the pulses or voltages that we demand from the system. So we see that we can evaluate all of these like aspects of design, looking at the design from holistic view or for all the stakeholders at the same time using a model-based systems engineering approach that is incorporating simulation models inside model-based architecture. Now, if you're curious, like what type of simulation tool is used in the presentation, I presented this methodology. This is called the Daimola. Is based on Modelica language. Is a multi-physics simulation tool. So it's not only limited to electronics, or electrical or mechanical. It's a multi-physics. All of the aspects of design can be simulated in one simulation model. And as you saw, the simulation is very efficient. You can simulate it, all of this in a matter of a few seconds. So if you want to optimize your design in a very short time, let's say in half an hour, you can run all of these simulations, let's say 1,000 simulations over 1 or 2 hours, and you can optimize the parameters for the design in matter of 1 or 2 hours. If you have many type of parameters, then or you want to optimize all of them at the same time, again, the simulation won't take that long. So, and you can automatically run all of these change of parameters through the change of in the requirements. There are several type of optimization methods inside MBSE methodology tools that we have, like SysML or CATIA Magic. And all of these tools, they can run all of these optimizations of the parameters here. Now, one other aspect that I didn't talk about is that we only talked about evaluation and validation. We use this virtual twin only to validate and evaluate based on our requirements. So we just use it to see how the prototype virtually looks like. But this is not going to stop here. We can use the simulation models that we have developed and validated um, like virtually to develop our actually the embedded code. So let's say for these devices, now we want to generate embedded code, and this embedded code should be loaded to microprocessor that we will use in the real uh, actually prototype. So this methodology would help us to develop the controller or the embedded code faster instead of generating all the C code or Python or whatever you are using for embedded code. We use the simulation model that we just developed, evaluated. Now we go and we develop a configuration. We select what type of target that we are going to use as a microprocessor. And then we define what is the sampling time, what is the solution method. All of these are available in this tool. And now you can select what type of code you want to generate. There are several type of code generation in this methodology. You can use binary, C code, or different type of also floating and different type of codes. You can select 32-bit or 64, depending on your target. You can generate EFMU is a methodology that you can generate functional markup unit to use it with your electronic target, or you can use binary or C code. Either way is possible using this tool. So not only the simulation model that you have developed is used for validation, now you can use it to build your embedded code. And now the embedded code can be generated from your simulation model, as you see, as a binary code or as a production code, and you can now load this code to your microprocessor. So this would save a lot of time. And also there is a link now between what you have loaded in the microprocessor and also the design or the virtual twin that you have modeled. So if you don't get the right output when you test it in as a physical system, you can go back to your virtual twin and tune it, and now you can get the right output as embedded code, because this tool can generate the embedded code continuously. You can change the parameters and generate a new embedded code. So it would save a lot of time for your software team and as well as the hardware and also system engineers. So um, I think I gave you very high level uh, examples and also like a definition of what MBSC would look like, but definitely you would like to know more about it, especially if you have systems engineering in the team. They may like to know how to integrate these simulation tools inside model-based systems engineering approach or the tool that they are using. Some of these aspects that I showed you, they're using 3D experience platform. So not only we are using SysML language, we are also using 3D experience platform to create a framework for MBSC for digital continuity and traceability. And also we could use different type of tools and incorporated or inside this like a platform. So we can manage requirements, we can do project management, change management, and also system architecture. And also we can have access to like physical model, CAD geometry, and also like simulation models. With the digital twin or the virtual twin that we developed, we can incorporate more simulation models and multi-physics simulation. And let's say you have developed, let's say the wearable device that is only can be connected through a wire, and you can, for example, read the output from this device through a wire. Now you want to change the protocol of connection from RS-232 to Wi-Fi or different type of Bluetooth protocols. You can incorporate your connection methodology or methodology in MBSC and also your simulation model. And now you can upgrade your design that you already have developed. So a methodology like this not only provides you a way to validate your or evaluate your design, it would help you to keep your knowledge in this team. So if one of the team members is absent or not with your team at this particular time, the rest of the team, they know how that part of the design is done, how the simulation model is developed, and everything is also attached to the system model. So that would help more collaboration between stakeholders, between the design team, and also different groups that they are working together to help the design. So all of this can be done in one framework working together. So this was my very high level examples and also like a explanation about MBSC, but definitely if you have more questions or if you like to know more about this methodology, we are available to help more about it. You can also contact my colleagues Jack Field and also Arya Halpern. They can provide you more detail. But right now I'm available to answer any question you have at the moment. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great presentation. We did have a couple questions come in through the Q&A function while you were talking. So I can ask those, but just as a reminder for those who are on the line, please feel free to put in your questions for Benham. He'd be happy to take them. So, okay, we're going to start with, okay, the system you showed, is it possible to use it with hardware in the loop models as well?
Yes, it is possible. So I showed you example of you generating embedded code. Uh, you can use the model that or the system with the embedded code directly with the hardware in the loop. So not only you can analyze or validate your simulation model virtually, you can now connect it to the hardware in the loop, change the parameters or requirements, and analyze it with the hardware in the loop and check if is verified also with the real prototype.
Okay, great. What about, is this solution, is it in the cloud or on-premise?
Both of them. So
Both?
yes, so for the 3D experience platform, you can develop the actually the framework or the MBSC on both premise and also on the cloud. And the cloud would provide you an advantage that a larger group of people they can connect with. They also this uh, s- like the kind of like the investment or the the infrastructure that you need to develop uh, to have a architecture like this is very light and very efficient. You can start a cloud environment in a matter of a day or a few hours. So you just ask what tools I need to develop, for example, this type of prototype. All the tools would be available immediately to you, and you can start. It's very efficient to start and work with the cloud environment.
Okay, great. What about leveraging the tool as part of an FDA approval process?
So very good question. One of the actually uh, there are in several aspects in FDA. I mean, one is requirements. We need to be sure that when we design a device, we meet all the requirements from the FDA. I mean, if we only select a few requirements, or we have only one list, or different lists for different teams, and we want to be sure that they comply with those requirements and standards, we may miss some of these. The one advantage of creating a framework like this is that you can collide, or you can have all the requirements in one place. You can manage them. You can be sure that you can follow any change in their regulations, and you can immediately provide answer to the requirements of the uh, regulation uh, like uh, requirements that are available from different sources. Other aspect is that also you can run some validations before you start physical validation. In some cases, physical validation may take uh, quite a long time. And if you don't have the right design, and you send it to different labs or different locations to validate it, if the design is not ready for validation, the whole process would cause delay, and also you would have spent a large amount of resources that is not going to provide you answer. When you are using a virtual twin or this methodology, you already have addressed some of the troubles or problems that they may show up during the test, and you would have a lower risk during the evaluation and approval process. And at the end, when you want to develop your report, all of these reports, they can have a template. So I know that writing reports is not very kind of like easy process. And you can create templates for these reports, and for evaluation, these reports would be generated automatically. That would save a lot of time, especially for the valuable time for the experts that you have. They are doing some test or design. Their time is very valuable for the organization. So you don't want to their time to spend their time for reporting or writing reports or all of these paperworks. These can be developed as templates inside this framework.
Okay, great. We had another question come in.
Mhm.
Can you model human body organs as part of the system model?
Yes, we can. So we have several type of simulation models developed by Simulia team, or FEA and CFD, like a heart project or other organs. They have been developed to simulate the behavior of the heart or other organs. Also, with the Daimola, the tool I showed you, there are some libraries that they can simulate behavior of organs. So not only you evaluate your design in the context of the requirements that are developed for that design, and you may look at the flow rate or the pressure for the fluid that is injected or the voltage that is used as a pulse. You can also have impact of that on the virtual twin of the organs or the body uh, parts. But mostly they are like a mathematical or uh, mathematical equations or programs or codes that they are simulating behavior of the body.
Okay, great. I have one more question in the queue, but just a reminder to those online, if you have a question for Benham, please feel free to put it in the Q&A. Now's your chance. How do I integrate 1D simulation with 3D simulation?
So 1D simulation that I showed you is possible to use co-simulation through this platform. There are two ways, direct co-simulation. There is a tool on the 3D Experience platform that is called multi-scale simulation, and it would allow you to create integration of 1D simulation to 3D simulation. Is also possible to do it outside of the platform. I mean, it's possible to create FMU and generate co-simulation between tool like Daimola and Abacus for like co-simulation. Also, the methodology as FMU or functional markup unit, it allows you to create like a co-simulation in the MBSE, like CATIA Magic, and you can create co-simulation between 1D and 3D simulation tools. They can have different like solver or different type of methodology for simulating the domain that they're simulating, but the F functional markup unit is a standard methodology that allows you to communicate between two simulation tools and provide inputs and output together. So that would allow you to create co-simulation between 1D and 3D simulation. So there are several ways to do that through the process composer on the 3D experience platform, multi-scale, and as well as using FMU uh, in CATIA Magic, or directly as through FMU solving FMU to FMUs in an environment like Python. All of these are possible.
Okay, great. What about can multiple users work in the model at the same time and in real time?
Yes. So very nice thing about this methodology, or when you work this MBSC on a framework like a CATIA Magic or 3D Experience platform, is that you can do first change management or version management. So if I am working on a specific version of the design of any component, all the stakeholders or other people who are working in different domains, they would be aware of what I am doing. Also, when I'm working on a specific model, that model would be only the part that I'm working on that would be frozen during the time that I'm working. The previous version or the previous revision is still available to other colleagues. As soon as I finish my work on the revision that I am doing, I can bump this revision to frozen, or I can like uh, make it frozen. And now this revision would be, or the new revision would be available to other users. But all the previous revisions are also available on the platform. So you can at any time, if you decide to go back and see why you have done some change, or if, for example, your changes are not done successfully, you can go back to older revisions and use the models you have developed in older revisions. So this MBSC or methodology is also using change management and revision management and task management and project management framework that would help a team to manage other aspects of the design and production as well.
Great. Sounds like it could create some efficiencies there.
That's it.
And we have a question kind of related to that. How quickly can I get up to speed and leverage the system to create those efficiencies? How long is the training? How long is it going to take me to learn the system and be efficient?
Very good question, actually. So I want to be honest with you. I come from the background that I was a simulation engineer, actually a discipline engineer. I worked in different disciplines like mechanical and control or kind of design, different type of design, different industries. I got familiar with MBSE and systems engineering methodology later on during like my career. And learning this methodology slowly can happen. I don't need to spend the whole like month or kind of get separated from my work and learn it. I could gradually learn it, and then over the time, even I could get my certificates. So um, I suggest that you can start with the 3D experience platform to create the framework that I showed you. If you are familiar with the CAD, and also with the control or logical architecture, that part would take about maybe 2, 3 days to learn how to do all of this. And also the 1D simulation, I used it in industry, but mostly the training takes about 2 days if you want to get into detail of the simulation or methodology. And then for the CSML language, it took longer for me, but slowly I learned it during my like career, and I think uh, uh, didn't take that long. If you are interested to learn CSML, maybe over, I used to do it on evening or on my free time, and it took me 3 months and I could get my actually industry certificate. So it's manageable time for a person who doesn't know this at all. For a system engineer, it should not take more than 2, 3 days to learn it.
Great. Thanks so much. Well,
No
those are all
problem.
the questions that I have in the queue. Do you have any additional closing remarks you'd like to make?
Oh, thank you very much. So thank you for listening to me. If you have any question, don't hesitate to call us. And also, we can help you with any question you have for any of these tools. So you don't need to have everything at the same time together. You can start from 1 or 2 tools, slowly adopt this methodology, let's say from 1D simulation, and slowly kind of learn and adopt it. This is not something that you may need to take it in one day. You can, I always suggest people in the design process, slowly adopt it, and you would see that in matter of like 3 months or 6 months, you are now implementing the whole methodology over your design framework. Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, Benham. Thank you to everyone who joined us online. And also a big thank you to Dassault Systems for sponsoring today's content. We really cannot put on these great educational programs without support of organizations like you. So thank you. I do encourage you to look at massmedic.com at all of our great upcoming events. We hold these webinars very frequently, so please check it out and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.